There are places in the Amazon where the modern world has never been welcomed. Regions so remote aircraft rarely pass overhead, rivers vanish into green labyrinths. Human footprints disappear almost as soon as they are made. In these hidden territories, people have never joined our civilization. Tribes reject outside contact so completely they are often seen only as shadows moving through the canopy. Some call them the last uncontacted peoples on Earth. Others call them ghosts of a world before history. But what if isolation is not simply their way of life, but a warning? For centuries, rumors circulated of tribes deep in the Amazon that attacked intruders without hesitation. Communities so hidden, even neighboring indigenous groups, avoided their territory. To outsiders, they seemed mysterious, almost mythical, yet they are real. Satellite imagery has captured remote clearings where circular villages appear for a season then vanish. Aircraft have photographed figures painted in red aiming arrows at planes. Expeditions have found abandoned camps, only to realize they were being watched from the jungle all along. The question is not whether these tribes exist. It is what they know that makes them choose to remain beyond the modern world. In the western Amazon near the borders of Brazil and Peru, there are regions considered some of the most isolated places left on Earth. Vast forests cut by black water rivers and hidden valleys where contact has rarely occurred. In one such region, a government patrol once approached signs of an uncontacted village. At first they found only silence, broken trails, palm shelters, fire pits still warm. Then they realized every movement they made was being shadowed. They never saw the watchers clearly. It's only movement in the leaves, footprints appearing beside their own, arrows planted in trees as warnings. The patrol withdrew. They did not return. To some, this was simply territorial defense. To others, it reinforced something deeper. These communities survive because they have chosen separation with absolute conviction. And history may explain why. For when contact has happened, it has often brought catastrophe. Disease alone has destroyed entire indigenous societies. Violence from colonists, rubber barons, illegal miners, and traffickers turned isolation into survival strategy. For some tribes, outsiders are not explorers. Outsiders are memory of death that alone makes their existence powerful. But darker stories surround certain groups said to live so deep in the Amazon, so almost nothing is known of them. Indigenous accounts speak of people who move settlements constantly, never lighting fires visible from the air, leaving almost no trace. Some are said to avoid all neighboring tribes as well, as if protecting something or fleeing something ancient. Stories describe territories where no one enters willingly. Areas believed defended not only by arrows but by unseen laws older than nations. It sounds mythic until you realize. Governments have officially created no-contact protection zones precisely because entering some territories could trigger violent conflict. The mystery is real. In 2008, dramatic footage emerged of an uncontacted Amazon tribe reacting to a passing aircraft. Painted warriors aimed arrows skyward in open defiance. The images shocked the world. But what disturbed anthropologists most was not hostility. It was how complete their independence remained. In a century of satellites and globalization, entire societies still existed beyond our reach. Yet some encounters have been stranger. In one account from a river expedition, guides refused to approach a tributary because they believed in isolated people there never traded, never spoke to outsiders, and killed anyone crossing certain invisible boundaries. Whether fear or fact, no one challenged them. In another case, loggers entering restricted forest reportedly abandoned operations. After discovering sharpened stakes surrounding their camp overnight, no one saw who placed them there. The message was clear enough: leave. Yet beyond survival, what fascinates researchers is knowledge these tribes may preserve. Ecological understanding built over thousands of years. Medicines unknown to science. Oral histories older than written records. Some may hold memories of ancient migrations, vanished civilizations, even landscapes transformed long before outsiders arrived. In a way, these communities are not relics. They are living archives. And perhaps that makes their isolation even more profound. Because what if the last great mysteries of the Amazon are not hidden temples or unknown creatures, but human worlds still untouched? Some anthropologists warn, even observing these tribes too closely risks romanticizing them as legends rather than people. That matters. Yet mystery persists because so little is known. Some groups have never had confirmed peaceful contact. Their languages remain unknown. Their beliefs, histories, names unknown. Imagine entire cultures existing in the modern age, while the rest of humanity knows almost nothing about them. It feels impossible, yet it is true. But then there are the stories that blur anthropology into something darker. Legends of forest peoples who appear without sound and vanish into vegetation. Hunters who feel watched for days before finding arrows in their camps. River traders speaking of villages seen once and never again. Most are likely frontier exaggerations. Yet in the Amazon, myth often grows from real encounters. One former guide described hearing whistles in the jungle after dusk, while traveling near a protected no-contact zone. Not birds, signals. His team realized they were being tracked. At dawn, they found footprints around camp. No one had heard a thing. They left immediately. Another story comes from missionaries decades ago who attempted peaceful approach toward an isolated group. Before reaching the village, they discovered warning effigies hanging from trees, figures pierced with arrows. They turned back. Some mysteries reveal themselves by refusing to be entered. Perhaps that is the point. Our fascination often asks the wrong question. Not why do these tribes hide from us, but why do we assume they should not? Perhaps they see modern civilization more clearly than we see ourselves. Deforestation, violence, disease, endless extraction. To reject contact may not be primitive resistance. It may be deliberate wisdom. Still, the Amazon keeps deeper enigmas. Some researchers suspect undiscovered isolated groups may exist, niches never fully surveyed, entire valleys where satellite anomalies suggest human activity, but no confirmed identification exists. True, even the known uncontacted tribes may be only part of a larger, hidden human map. That possibility is astonishing. Yet survival grows harder. Legal logging, gold mining, and expanding frontiers push into territories once unreachable. Contact may come not through curiosity, but intrusion. When with it, ancient worlds could vanish before we understand they existed. That urgency gives these stories weight beyond mystery, because this is not lost history. It is living, fragile reality. There is another haunting thought. What do these isolated peoples think of us when glimpsed from shadows? Strange invaders arriving by metal birds and engines, cutting forest, chasing rumors, carrying disease. Perhaps to them, we are the mystery, the dangerous unknown in the jungle. That inversion changes everything. But even so, legends persist about one tribe some call the Invisible People, supposedly nomadic, rarely leaving permanent settlements, moving through territories few enter. Some dismiss them as myth built from fragments of several groups. Others believe remote evidence suggests something real. Whether true or not, the story endures because the Amazon seems large enough to hold such possibilities, and perhaps it is. This is what makes the uncontacted tribes so compelling. They exist at the edge of modern imagination, proof that even now parts of humanity remain outside the systems we call inevitable. In a hyper-connected age that feels almost impossible, yet deep under Amazon canopies, fires still burn unseen. Languages are spoken no outsider has heard. Children grow up never knowing the modern world exists. Somewhere tonight an arrow may be carved beside a river no map names. Somewhere watchers may stand in trees observing intruders from silence, and they may know every path while outsiders know none. That is power, not mythic power. Human power rooted in place. But mystery lingers because boundaries in the Amazon are rarely just geographical. They are psychological, moral, ancient. There are places you do not enter because you are not invited. Some stories say those who ignore this vanish. Perhaps from violence. Perhaps from the jungle itself. Perhaps because arrogance often dies quickly in wilderness. History supports that enough. Yet maybe the greatest lesson hidden in these tribes is not suspense, but humility. For centuries, civilization has framed untouched peoples as remnants destined to disappear. Yet they endure while empires rise and fall, remain while the modern world races forward uncertain of itself. There is something quietly astonishing in that, maybe even unsettling, because they challenge the idea that progress moves only one direction. They prove another way of being human survives, and perhaps always did. Imagine flying over endless green canopy, knowing beneath it live societies no camera has documented. No historian has recorded, no outsider truly understands. That should inspire awe, should also inspire restraint, because some mysteries do not need solving to matter. Some deserve protection precisely because they remain beyond reach. The uncontacted tribes of the Amazon are often portrayed as last survivors of another age, but perhaps they are something stranger. Not survivors of the past, but witnesses to futures we abandoned. And somewhere beyond the final mapped tributaries, where forest swallows rivers and silence carries through the trees, there may still be communities the modern world has never seen. Watching, remembering, choosing distance. Not because they are lost, but because they know exactly where they are. And maybe the real mystery is whether we can understand why.